Hi Kevin. First of all, thank you for coming out to Australia, even though it's only a short stint. I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy back over in Stoke. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what brought you into recruitment, and where it all started.
Yeah, okay. So I presume I was like any normal dad, really. I had two sons who were very good footballers. At the age of 6, I gave them the opportunity of training more than most kids do through myself, taking them, to every sort of type of football, like Brazilian soccer. I'd done everything, the Dutch style. So I'd done everything with them both. By the time they were 8, they were picked up by Bristol Rovers as two young lads. One was 6 and one was 8. Both boys were doing really well. I was running their local team for the boys, and I had a group of lads with a friend of mine. A pair of us together had both our kids in the teams, and they were that good. We were winning everything. We were that good that the clubs wanted to take the whole team. So obviously, with us having 6 or 7 boys in one team good enough for an academy, they seen the option of saying, do you want to do a bit of scouting part-time for us? So Bristol City came along, asked me to do some part-time scouting, really spotting, identifying some lads. After about 2 months of doing that, I was offered the head of recruitment from under 9s to 23s.
So Bristol City was your first gig?
Yeah, so Bristol City, I was there for 5 or 6 years. Done really well on recruitment. It's just similar to local football. You recruit the best kids you possibly think that, what you can make them. Not what they are right now.
Okay, so obviously, from Bristol City you went on to?
I went on to Stoke City under Tony Pulis when he was in the Premier League. A great manager towards the type of man he was. Taught us a lot of things in the academy about respect. How he was as a man. He was superb. A fantastic manager for Stoke. I spent 5-6 years there with him. When he left, I stayed most probably another 6-7 months, and then I decided to go into agency. So I came out of recruitment, went as an intermediate agent for myself. I've done quite well at it. I moved a few good players into the Premier League. I then done some work for Bury FC under a previous owner that is obviously finished now. I've done some work for them, and I've just done work, for different clubs. I've worked for Scotland, the national team, on the youth, and I've just been doing recruitment for different clubs, consulting.
When did you end up at Reading?
I ended up at Reading, it was about 3 years ago. Ron Gourlay, who used to be the CEO at Chelsea, offered me a job to work for the first team on international recruitment. So I would travel everywhere. It was a lot of travelling as my family was in Stoke still. I done that until Jaap Stam got the sack or left.
So Jaap Stam was the first grade coach?
Yeah, he was the first grade coach, great manager, different type of manager from Tony. Good for the club. I had a great time there. It was brilliant. It was short, but it was good. I then went back into agency again, which I set up for free football management. So I set up the academy and the management. So we would coach kids and hopefully coach them to be good enough to sign to our management company.
So at the moment you're also the head of recruitment for Port Vale FC, yeah?
Yeah.
Which is basically the second team in the Stoke district. So it's Stoke City, then Port Vale, yeah?
Yeah, so that's 9s to 18s right through.
All right. Now, looking at youth development in the UK compared to the rest of Europe and Middle East and Asia, where does UK and the rest sit on?
Well, obviously UK's the top country in the world for football. we're not the best country in the world at football, but the reason why is because football is just a tradition that every day of the week is on telly. You know, Sky Sports run football. You know, everything about football in the UK. Everybody wants to be a footballer, and that's why it's so hard to become a footballer, because there's every young lad from the minute he's born, his parents want him to be footballers. You know, so.
Okay, so still the question is, so youth development in England, why are you guys the head at 17s and 20s level, and even 23s? I think you guys at the moment are a step above the rest of the world. Why is that?
I think we've struggled over the years, and I think when the Premier League decided to change to EPP Cat 1 for the top clubs, I think the hours of training, we copied the Spanish, because, you know, I think they went all around Europe and Germany. You know, we actually copied the Germans, the Spanish, bits of everything, and changed our style of training. You know,
so basically the English FA and the EPL basically changed the DNA of English football,
yeah,
and started breeding different footballers, yeah?
Yeah.
And that's the answer for today, yeah?
Yeah.
Because looking around and seeing, when I come to England and looking at your Category 1 and Category 2 academies, they're all pretty decent. As far as facilities are concerned, your head of coaching, your recruitment facilities and management, whatever, you guys have basically hit it on the notch. You've done pretty well in getting it all under the one umbrella and working with the best of the best, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. You know, even Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3 is 3 different levels, but you've got as much chance at Cat 3, you've got more chance at Cat 3 of becoming a faster footballer and getting through the system. Because obviously the funding in Cat 3 for young players at club level, you know, the squads aren't so big at first team, so you'll chuck a 16-year-old on the bench if you've only got a 16-man squad, you know, and you've got a few injuries. You've got a 16-year-old who's going to get a chance, rather than a Cat 1 player who's most probably having to wait until he's 19, 20 before he gets men's football.
We will not have that here in Australia.
No.
There is not much of a chance for a 16-year-old to be mentioned even on the team sheet in a first grade game, even at because at the moment we've got A-League, NPL 1, NPL 2, NPL 3. And the NPL 1, 2 and 3, even though it's National Premier League, there's in each different state, we run different competitions that aspire to play A-League. So very few times that an NPL 1, NPL 2 and NPL 3 there's a 16-year-old on the bench and or even starting. So that's where you guys are more ahead of us in that respect. And having your 15 and 16-year-olds, say at Wolverhampton Wanderers or West Ham or those kind of clubs, how many hours would they do in the elite campus?
So they would train on a Monday evening, just a normal, like every other club. It was probably 7 till 9 or 6 till 9:30. Tuesdays they, yeah, in the day, at night. Tuesdays they would come out of school. So what happens now with these hours is on a Tuesday they'll come out from 12 o'clock till 8. So they'll get their food, they'll do their education, they'll do their fitness, they'll do their analysis, they'll do everything in-house.
They get 7 hours just in the one day?
Yeah, 7 hours, and then they'll do that again on a Thursday. So they get 2 days out, so you've got 14 hours, which they never had before. So it gives that massive impact on, you know, repetitive.
I was at Charlton Athletic a few years ago, and I was told, because we did a tour of the academy, and we were told on how they work things. They were busing the children to the school, and they wanted every child to, especially in the right age groups, to go to the same school. Then they were busing them back to the facility for training, and they were doing that. I don't know if it was twice a week or once a week, but they were doing a good 7 to 8 hours together, a minimum of once a week, plus the other sessions that they were doing, plus the strength and conditioning. So basically it's a complete unit, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, you're doing it at such a young age now. I think it's 12 years of age you can do it twice a week like that, plus the other 2 nights of training, and then the game day on a Sunday. You know, there's a lot of football.
So if you're a 13 or a 14-year-old player and you're getting these, you know, 15, 16 hours a week, you've got sports science intact, you've got vision sessions, you've got technical sessions, you've got tactical sessions, you're getting all this, what does that cost to parents?
Nothing at all. Everything's funded by the FA. Everything's funded at the club.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but if you're a footballer here playing NPL 1, 2 or 3, your parents are paying close to $3,000 for you to be playing the season. Mind you, it's not 50 weeks, not 40 weeks, it's a season, which is about 30 weeks, thereabouts. And then on top of that, obviously they're going to buy you boots, they're going to feed you, they're going to do everything else. So a parent having 2 or 3 boys playing the game, and or girls, could be an expensive exercise. Plus they've actually got to find you outside tuition to do one-on-ones and or academy work, because the club within that 3-day-a-week period cannot supply everything. No. And I don't blame the clubs either, because of course they've only got a limit of 4.5 to 5 hours of training a week, plus the game to contend with, plus the fields, plus the coaches, you know. And for that $3,000, because the clubs don't get any funding from the top coming down, they find it hard to employ coaches full-time or part-time. Really, our coaches here are part-time. They're not up to that level of, you know, you're under 13s coach at Manchester United is full-time.
Yeah.
You know, like...
It's to do with funding, the funding, yeah.
Okay, is there anything else you can tell us about what you're seeing with our children here for the first day? Our players, I should say.
I've been very surprised, to be honest with you, of the standard. Technically very good. Good control on the ball, both feet, which is very unusual. Can play off of both feet. Good runners, good athletes, which is the most important thing nowadays. You know, you've got to be able to run, or else you're going to struggle, especially if you come into England and want to play football.
Right, so you're saying that most of these players that you're seeing here at the moment are pretty much up to standard with the rest of the world?
They're at a very good standard. Yeah, they've been very good. I've been really surprised, very, very surprised how good they are. And, yeah.
433 Football Management and AYFI have become partners. So we are exclusive to 433. So whatever player that we feel should be leaving the shores of Australia to go overseas, and not just England, but through 433 Management with their connections in Asia, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, the UK, Europe. We would love to actually see them here, work with them for a little bit, make sure that they're actually up to that standard, and then if we think that they're up to that standard, we introduce them to Kevin and his management overseas and his crew overseas, and hopefully they'll find them a home to be able to become pros.
To be honest with you, I don't think George ever sends anybody of this not of any standard. He's always made sure that they are of standard. They don't just come over to England or Europe, you know, and we don't just do Europe. You know, we've got boys in Hong Kong playing top level in the best team in Hong Kong. We've got boys playing in Portugal. This month we've had 3 boys go to Portugal through George and myself. You know, so we look at other options. You know, if you haven't got UK passports, then you know we look at the other options for them. Through George and myself, we look at the best options and what types of player they are. You know,
Where they would suit.
Yeah, where they would suit.